Guys, I'm back for another video, and today I want to talk about addiction. I'm just going to explain a little bit about it and my story, where I'm at now in terms of recovery, and yeah, so let's get started. The first thing that I want to say is I grew up in a family that was addicted. My mother was addicted to methamphetamines, so ever since I was born up until still now. I mean, she's in prison right now because of it, so she's never been able to get off of it. I think the longest she's been clean is maybe 2 years, but that's it. And then she always goes right back to what she was doing. And growing up like that, I always swore and promised myself that I would never ever become an addict because, I watched what it did to my mother and what it did to our family and me. And, I didn't want anything to do with that life. I didn't want anything to do with that world or anybody in it. I just felt like I was never going to turn out that way. Well, we all know that life never works out the way we plan. In terms of addiction, when I was a teenager, I started smoking marijuana, and I did drink. I smoked marijuana very frequently for a long time. I would say from the time I was about 15 till the time I was about 18. I would smoke. It was every day, a chronic user. I felt like the only way I could function is if I was high on marijuana. I personally don't believe in addiction to marijuana. I got pregnant and I decided to quit, and I never had an issue with it. But I was definitely self-medicating with marijuana, and it wasn't just a social thing for me. I did it alone. I always had to be high. I would be high when I went to work. So, moving on, I just wanted to throw that out there. My drug of choice was opiates. At first I started getting into Norco, hydrocodone, and then I moved my way up to Percocet, oxycodone. And I never really liked Oxycontin or anything higher than that. I liked the lower grade opiates. That's what I liked, and I never felt like I needed anything higher. My addiction was very bad. I wouldn't say my use was bad because I never used hardcore. It was just the consistency. I always had to have it, and if I didn't have it, I was deathly sick. So let me kind of back up. I got pregnant at 18. I had my daughter at 19. I had to have a cesarean C-section because I could not deliver her vaginally. And obviously they gave me pain meds. Well, at first I didn't like the pain meds because I was trying to take care of a newborn, and I didn't like how tired they were making me feel. So I just really didn't take them very much. Well, one day I didn't eat anything, and I drank an energy drink, and I fucking felt amazing. Like, I thought to myself, where has this been all my life? I have all these pills and I'm not taking them? What the hell's wrong with me, I fell in love. I fell in love. My whole body was warm. I felt happy. I felt calm. I felt confident. I mean, everything I ever wanted to be, I was when I was high. And from that moment on, I just always had to have it every day. And luckily for me, I had complications due to my C-section, and it caused me a lot of pain. And so I had to have surgery, and then they had to go in and they had to do some things. So I got more pain meds. Well, the surgery that they did didn't quite fix what was wrong. So they sent me to a pain specialist. And I was 19 years old, and I was getting 240 Norco a month. Yeah, and I thought I hit the damn lottery. But, I had proof that I had problems with pain, so it all worked out in my favor. Well, eventually, I would run out, and I wouldn't be able to, 240 were supposed to last me a whole month, but it only lasted me 2 weeks. I was going through them like candy. And so I ended up getting off my pain contract because I had gotten pregnant, and I'll go into that in a different video, but so the doctor wanted me to get off the pain meds. He wanted me to wean off of them. And so, I got my last prescription from him, and then I started doctor shopping. I would go to every ER. I would go to every doctor, family doctor, whatever doctor, spine. I went to spine doctors. I'd go to the dentist. Anybody and everybody in my town I have gone to. And I kind of live in a small town, so I am red flagged. So, when I go to a doctor and I complain about any kind of pain, they're right on me. They're suspicious of why I'm there, which I can understand. I abused the system, and it costed me big time. And so pretty soon, that I couldn't get pain meds anymore from the doctors because they knew that I was seeking to use it recreationally. And one time I just decided, maybe I should just stop doing this. This is getting too hard to get. Well, I got physically ill. My bones hurt. My nose was running. I was yawning. I could not function. It was the worst sickness I've ever experienced coming off opiates. So, again, in my favor, I knew some people, and they hooked me up. So I would go on the street and I would buy them. And every Friday when we got money, I would go and buy a bunch of pills to get me through until I got money again. And we were so broke, we had to live with my husband's parents, even though we had 2 jobs. But all of the money was going to pills, and his parents were like, what the hell's going on? I felt disgusting. I felt sick. I felt ashamed. I felt like a piece of shit, and I was a piece of shit. I was a piece of shit, And this went on for 3 years. Every day, nonstop. I pawned everything I owned. I burnt people. I begged and borrowed and stole and lied, and what drug addicts do to get what they need to get that high. I did. And I tried to be a responsible drug dealer and user. Every Friday I would go get my pills from an older lady. She was like a family lady, and nobody really knew. Everybody knew she was an addict, but it was low key. So, I felt like I was very discreet about everything, and I felt not so dirty as if I was doing meth. I felt cleaner doing pills. I don't know why. So I would get my pills, and then I would go home, and I would hang out with my daughter all day long. I would sit down with her. I would read. I would do ABCs. I would go outside. It gave me so much energy and passion, and I just wanted to always be doing something with my daughter. It gave me motivation. It gave me so much motivation. Actually, that's why I wanted to start going to school, because the high that it gave me, it made me want to do good things. But unfortunately, when you get into addiction, the deeper and deeper you get into it, all the things you wanted to do, they don't matter no more. The only thing that matters is your drugs. And I spent almost a good portion of my money from the college on drugs. And that fucked me big time. And I'm still paying the price for that. I still am. And I really fucked my life up on those pills. And I would try to get sober. I tried so many times to get clean. And people would be like, oh, are you sober? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm sober. I'm good, But in reality, I wasn't. I was lying, and I didn't want to lie, but I didn't want people to think I was sick. And I didn't want to hear, you need to get clean. You need to do this. I was like, fuck, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, I'll do it when I'm ready. And everybody was ready, but I wasn't ready. So all the times that I tried to go to the detox centers, or I would try to sit and detox at home, or I would try to, go into rehab, I could never get into rehab because I never had insurance. I could never afford it. So I had to do it on my own, basically. So, I just got worse, and I couldn't handle the detox, so I had to always have the pills, no matter what it took, I would pay people to go to the emergency room for me just to get me some pills. It didn't matter. I would do anything, and I'd pay them to go in and lie, and most of the time they would, because they were either crackheads or heroin addicts, or they needed to get their own drugs, or they needed to pay their bills, so we would make our deals. I hated it. I felt sick. I felt so sick and ashamed of myself. I was becoming everything I hated. I was becoming my mother, and I didn't like it. But I was self-medicating. I was so depressed, and I had so much issues that I didn't know how to deal with, and so drugs were my only escape to deal with my problems. And I know that's not an excuse, but that was how I felt. And I felt like if I did get clean, then I would just be a basket case. I would just be a big mental case, and I'd never be able to function in the real world without being high. I could never do anything without being on drugs. And I thought the only way out of addiction was suicide. I thought about killing myself every single day. I thought, my daughter would be better off if I was dead than alive and a drug addict. I didn't know how to get clean. I had nobody to help me get clean. I had no insurance, so I couldn't go to rehab. I had no hope. And then I lost my friend. I got a phone call that she passed away, and she was also addicted to pills. And when I got the phone call, I knew exactly right away what she had died from. And it hit me hard. It felt like somebody literally was sitting on my chest. It wasn't just the fact that we were friends. It was the fact that me and her were doing the same shit. And she died from it. And I was doing the same thing. And it was only a matter of time before it was my turn. I went to the viewing. I went to her viewing, and I was high on pain pills, and I felt really guilty for going high, but I couldn't go anywhere unless I was high, because I couldn't function unless I was on my drugs. I didn't, I had my pills. I had to have them. And I felt bad for going there like that. And I remember looking at her in the casket, and I kept waiting for her to sit up or something. And I felt such a deep guilt, and I just looked at her and I thought, damn, when is that going to be me? Here she has 2 beautiful kids that she left behind, all because of an addiction, all because of a high, all because of fucking stupid pills, and now look, she's gone. She overdosed, and it killed her. And I didn't know how to accept it, because like I said, it wasn't just that, she was a friend of mine. I was doing the same thing, and I felt like it was so close to home to me. And everybody at the time thought I was clean, but I wasn't. I was using harder than I ever used before. And I lied about it. But I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing, especially since she had just passed away from it. You know? So I just kept it on the down low, and I went on with my life. And when she passed away, I started using even harder. I mean, you'd think that would be a lesson, but fuck no. I didn't want to think about it. You know, I just used harder. Well, I started getting really skinny. I didn't eat at all when I was on my pills because it would kill my high. I got skinny. I started looking bad. I felt like my organs were starting to shut down. I was just using, and not eating, and I looked like shit. And, 6 months after my friend passed away, I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I said, you need to get your shit together, and you need to do it fast. I got tired of the chasing. I got tired of the finding the money. You know how what a nightmare it is to have to get on the phone every single day and be like, hey man, do you got anything? Hey, do you got anything? Hey, can I borrow some money? Hey, can you front me until Friday? Like, every fucking day I would have to beg people for money, drugs, anything to get me to be able to just function and get through one day or an hour or whatever. I got tired of it. I got tired of living like that. I fucking hated it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I need to get off of this shit for good. I had oxys that I was supposed to take that morning. I don't know what got into me. I got up, I fucking went to the toilet, and I flushed them, and I was like, immediately when I knew that they were in the toilet and they were gone, I was like, oh, what the fuck did I just do? But I told myself, you know what? You just did the best thing you could ever possibly. That was the best decision that you've ever made, and you're going to stick to it. And I had some Suboxone, and if you don't know what Suboxone is, it's basically it's a synthetic opiate. Opiates are usually like oxys and stuff. They're a full agonist. Well, Suboxone's a partial agonist, and what it does is it's for opiate addiction, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. But I had some to get me through some of the withdrawals, and I just took it until I got through the initial withdrawals. And like I said, I'll get into that in another video about Suboxone because a lot of people are curious about it, and I want to talk about Suboxone. This video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to go into another video about my recovery. So that's my story, and I will see you on my next video regarding my recovery. And yeah, so I'll see you soon.